Me want my dad, give me to my wee, wee. Me want my dad, give me to my wee. Me want my dad, give me to my wee, wee.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the mic.
Welcome to the mic.
Yes, I got my beautiful lady here. My Elle, she's in the house.
And Cedric, and we also have Carl Best with us today.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, Carl.
Carl Best.
You're very welcome.
We couldn't
it's
wait.
Our pleasure.
We couldn't wait to make this happen.
But we need to find out a lot about you because we don't know a lot of information, but what we do know is that you're a great musician, a very talented musician and songwriter. And so that's really what we're looking to find out about today. But we want to dig in a bit deeper.
Yeah, we have to.
We have to do this.
Yes.
But
well, thank you for having me.
There's nothing you can find.
No,
nothing.
You're an enigma. So you're hidden on the social media. So this may be like a way of.
There might be an explanation for that.
Okay.
That might be down to the fact that were you seeking me out under Carl Best?
Yeah.
That would be the problem. For the last 20 years, I was working under a musical name of Beeba. B-E-E-B-A.
Oh, not like Justin Bieber.
I knew that was coming. I finally get a chance to explain to the world, pronunciation, because I'm pretty sure he spells his name B-I-E, which is by, in my understanding of the word. Yeah. So if you go into a pie shop and ask for a pea, then you're even going to get put to the toilet or you're going to get a little green vegetable.
So to a pie shop.
It's not a pea shop, is it? It's a pie shop.
It's a pie shop.
It's not Justin Peeper, it's
Bieber.
He's not pronouncing it correctly.
Bieber, yeah.
Bieber. So first, I've got that out of the way.
Yeah.
But so nothing to do with him, but it was because my name's Carl Best, and I grew up in Suffolk, and a lot of people around here they say, "Oh, you're right, bah." So boy, converted to bah. And so because my name's Best, I was always known as B. Yeah. So people would say, "Oh, you're right, Bieber," and so I'd say yes, and so I became known as Bieber. Which actually came from a real place rather than just conjuring up a name for the sake of it.
So you are the original Bieber?
Technically, yes, on pronunciation levels and everything else.
Yeah.
But then
different.
It got a bit weirder than that because this was many, many years ago. I started going under the name of Bieber, and then Justin Bieber popped up. So then I was just getting it at gigs. Do you know what I mean? It was all, "You Justin," and all everything.
do I look like Justin?
You can't explain the pie pea thing every gig. It just gets ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, I'm Justin. Whatever. I've let it go a bit. Do you know what I mean?
That's crazy. That's
brilliant.
crazy.
You've let it go.
But it's one of them things, isn't it? And so I ended up using that name for many, many years, and. Here we are. I sort of gone under the name Carl Best more these days. But
I think that's catchy. I think that's a catchy name, Carl Best.
Yeah.
It's really catchy.
The best.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know, I don't know many Bests. I know of George Best.
Yeah.
He was a footballer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I don't know many Bests.
There was Pete Best. He was in the Beatles, I believe.
Whoa.
Oh, okay.
There was another member of the Beatles. It was Pete Best. I know that because my dad's name was Pete Best.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So when you're being looked up on the internet as Best, people aren't necessarily finding you currently. So is there some way now that you maybe are going to perhaps use that platform again, maybe, and change the name to Carl Best so that we can?
Well,
find you.
Again, it got a bit weird because, like I say, all that time ago, I was a up-and-coming music producer. So I used to send out demos to record labels and to various places.
Yeah.
And Future Music magazine was an international music magazine about music production. And I sent one of my demos into them. Yeah. And it got selected and put on the CD. They put demos on the front of the magazine every month. Okay. So one of my songs got selected about 20 years ago and went out around the world on this magazine.
Wow.
And weirdly enough, Justin Bieber was also then an unsigned young music producer. And I know for a fact that he used to read Future Music because he'd been in it or he'd talked about it later in life.
Yeah.
So I pieced all this together. But the weird thing is the song that I had on the front cover of Future Music was called Never Say Never. And he then called his tour
Never Say Never
about 6 years later.
Yeah.
So I'm like, right, name, tour. So everything I come up with a few years later.
Are you feeling like there may be a little bit more to this than meets the eye?
Or something, isn't it? It's like when particles move. It's like maybe I'm connected to him somehow.
In some way, shape, or form.
I think you should collect your
royalties.
Royalties.
Yeah.
I don't think it works like that.
No. There's a lot of proof that goes into it, and like you say, this is a little bit of a coincidence.
Possibly. Yeah. It's a synchronicity. There's no coincidence.
But you said you work for, you used to be a producer.
Well, I work as I'm self-employed creative, so part of that entails production. I've got a music studio at home, so record things and get things up to a professional level these days, and master them and release them.
So what is this song? What's this song that made it?
Which song?
Is it? You said the song that made it onto the cover of the
it's
Future.
Called Never Say Never. But
Never Say Never.
I haven't played it in years. It's a very simple song, but it was probably one of the first songs I wrote that was a juxtaposition, because it's a very happy, bouncy melody, but then when you read the lyrics, it was a warning to the person I was dating at the time.
Oh, wow.
I would like to hear that.
You're pushing me a little bit too far, maybe.
Okay.
So
I'd like to hear that.
So quite personal.
It's quite personal, but not that anyone would really know it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like songwriting on that level. I don't like just like, the rain is plain, it's for someone called Jane. Do you know what I mean? It's like
they always say the first songs are the good songs.
The ones that came from the heart.
Yeah, you write them because you don't have pressure.
Yeah.
And they just
they're raw.
Natural. Yeah.
They're very natural, as Darian would say, natural vibes, isn't it?
Yeah. Natural vibes.
You know Darren Prophecy then.
I know Darian, I've known him a long time. Yeah, known him probably about 15 years.
Oh, really?
I've done he used to be, we were in a band together. I formed a band, but it was a collective about 10 years ago called 99 Echoes.
Cool.
Which had, on some days, it had up to 11 members. We had flute, we had Prophecy, Rastafari, we had a French guy who played guitar on his lap, Bert, and made harmonics, and then I was playing guitar and singing, and then bass, and so some gigs you'd have 11, some gigs you'd have maybe 3. So it was always kept people guessing. But And not that I'm a big fan of war or the military, but we were looking for a band name, and in the Vietnam War, a radio call sign for a jack of all trades was a 99 Echo.
Oh, I love that.
We were all jack of all trades. We all came together and did things, and then went off and did
your
own
other
things,
jobs and other things and other musical interests.
Were you ever signed though?
No. I've never signed any.
Or maybe work under any record label or something.
No, never. Not really. No, it's all been very grassroots.
So when you were trying to send these things off to music companies, big companies, what were the big companies that you were kind of sending your music to?
Back in the day, it was like the old school. You'd send them off to pie in the sky chance of just record labels, because everyone had A&R. They had A&R departments. I'm assuming it's still the same these days. But, kind of. I think the older, so many things buzzing through my head, the connections to what you've all said. But what you were saying about songwriting in terms of the first songs being the most natural, that's very true. But then as you pick up more worldly connections, more connection to your instrument, you then, for me personally, I'm now writing songs that I feel have more of a soul connection to, they come in from the soul, rather than in the past I was maybe writing up in the head. It was maybe a bit, I was like trying to be clever with wordplay and melody.
Of course,
Whereas now it's just like when it blur, and that's all creativity is really.
Because when you're a musician, you just grow up and become matured.
Yeah.
And once you become matured, everything just relaxes.
Mm-hmm. And it's just that life experience as well, I think, like getting things off your chest emotionally, and like things that you've been through maybe that you just
all creativity is amazing for that. The cathartic practices of it's alchemy, isn't it, really? It's like it's the most accessible form of alchemy that we all deal with day to day. It's like if you're going through something negative and you've got a burden yourself, the best way to negate that is to help someone else with their burden. And the best way to do that is through creativity and churning out positive from the negative. And even then, positive and negative, that's contextualised by us, because a lot of things I grew up with in life thinking, case in point, talking about my ill health many years ago. That I always looked at that as a negative, but now where I'm sitting here today, having never been healthier, and with the knowledge I'm now able to pass on to others, that is one of the biggest gifts of my life. So the context changed.
Yeah, definitely.
How important though the energy in terms of writing music or doing or connect with anybody else or play with somebody else, the energy then. It's how important that.
Well, we are energy. That's the beautiful thing. Yeah. So I think that's why I won't nick the quote, but I saw, when in life you discover things yourself, and then you go and research it, and you find famous quotes that link in, and you're like, oh wow, that's really cool. Yeah. And it's not. And again, I don't say that I'm conjuring these notions, but they've been given to me. Yeah. And a lot of the time, I think a lot of the reason why we connect so deeply with music is because essentially we are music. We are embodied music. I mean, we're waveforms. Music's made of waveforms. Everything's waves. So even me, I'm not solid. I mean, I appear solid to you, but I'm things moving and reverberating. So when waves hit us, and the military have used sound for weapons, like you can make people involuntarily do things on the battlefield using certain bass frequencies. You can
did not know that.
Yeah, like
that's crazy.
You can get a whole army to essentially, if you play the right bass note, because there's frequencies for everything, and everything has a resonant frequency of either growing it or destroying it. If you know the frequency of something, then you can manipulate it. And there are certain frequencies for the human bowel, which when hit by a large enough speaker of bass, you will reverberate the bowel, and then people have an involuntary reaction.
With what you're saying,
they'll just poo themselves.
Yeah.
So you're saying that these have been used on the battlefield? That's crazy.
I don't know if they've been used per se on battlefields, but I know they've been worked on. I don't think that the science. I don't think they've ever worked it to a point where it was effective enough. Because it's going to affect everyone, isn't it? Well, that is it. Like, you have to. I don't know. All I know is that there's been a whole lot of. A whole lot of under the radar science. I mean, everybody knows it. Do you know what I mean? It's like whatever governments are letting us know about now was probably been in production for at least 20 years.
And this is why the government, most of the builders, they're gonna ban for them when they're working. They're not allowed to play music anymore.
Why? I don't understand that.
Because the government doesn't want people to play music while they're working. It's what they say.
Health and safety?
Kind of thing. They say health and safety, but the builders are complaining, saying that, this gives me
lifts their spirits. It lifts their spirits. It gives
motivation, inspiration,
energy, and all that kind of thing.
Definitely.
And then all of a sudden, now
it makes
the government
some of the mundane a bit more
everything.
Interesting.
Well, again, steering the ship nicely around the rocks of conspiracy. Governments aren't really in the game of putting things in place that benefit us on a health level, and it's just one of those things.
So your music now, that you're saying that actually, as you've gotten a bit older and you've had this life experience, you're feeling as though actually that's helping you as well as a person grow mentally and in terms of strength,
everything
of character.
Well, 100%. Like spiritually, I think like it's also life. You have to go through a certain amount of upheaval, shall we say, to regenerate, to grow and to become something different. So for many years I lived my life anxious, and it was partly to do with the health issues that I mentioned earlier. Yeah. But I had depression, I had anxiety, and all of it, and a lot of it was fueled by governments and media, and by thinking, oh well, what's the point if all of this is going on? Then who am I? What am I? And it took the breaking into little bits and getting myself right, and then once you've got the diet right and the physicality right, then the mind is right, and then the spirit starts to have you can't really progress on a spiritual path if the vessel is degrading, and if you're bombarded by fear, if you're afraid of your own body, if you're afraid of symptoms, if you're afraid of paying the bills, if you're afraid of all of these things, you're not creating a space where the universe can, or Godmas, whatever, I call it Godmos, if people want to call it God, they can call it the cosmos, I call it a bit of both, but that's where the space, you need to be able to create the space for it to inhabit, and you can't do that with fear and ill health, which is exactly why they don't like music and good things for spiritual, mental growth. Because
which is crazy,
we would
isn't
all
it?
figure out things that certain people aren't required. And certain things aren't required, and at the moment it's just
triggers
us talking about
parts of our
And
brain
the
that
music
make
plays
us
a
think
big
in
role
different
as well.
ways,
and
make
it
us
helps
question.
to grow beyond
That's right,
just being a simple cog in a machine. They like to educate us just enough so that you can fill that role and just be taxed and used.
Tick over.
Yeah, and just up to your pension age, and then they want you to push you over the edge, and then.
But why would music? They just want to, ban music, or maybe.
I don't think they want to ban music.
But just.
I think it is. Yeah, it's an element for me. It feels like there's an element of fun been taken out of a lot of things in life, like that. Just that element of like excitement. And I am a really excitable person. Like I get really excited about small things. It's the little things in life. They mean a lot to me. Yeah. And if I think I'm going to go out, I'm going to watch a band, or I'm going to go listen to some music, or I'm going to go home and I'm going to put my favourite songs on, or that's exciting for me. I think that element of excitement might have been slightly hoovered away a bit in the last few years. I feel like I don't know where it's gone, but I feels like it's just less exciting than it used to be.
I think, well, to a certain extent, I get what you're saying, 100%. But it is that suppression of the human spirit. It's this hope, creativity, and hope are the fundamental linchpins, foundations of humanity.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you come out of the womb, you're thrust into this existential what the is going on. Nobody can explain it to you because nobody else knows what's going on.
No.
And creativity is the base level of survival, because if I woke up in a cave 1,000 years ago and I'm hungry,
you have to work stuff out.
You've got to go and be creative to survive. So creativity is the base level of existence, and it's also it then fuels hope, and hope then fuels creativity. So they work synchronistically,
hand in hand.
And that is why, unfortunately, at some point in human evolution, it's been figured out by probably more intelligent people than me, but probably more malevolent people than me, that to keep people in little boxes and to keep people, if you suppress hope and creativity and via music, via art,
then no one's going to question you.
No, they don't question, and not only that, they won't even think to question, because they're
it's
just
not within
in a
them
bubble, and then they don't know about the bigger world.
As a singer-songwriter, if you have to explain or maybe describe the music that plays to you, how would you put it? Speaks to you.
In terms of my own music or other people's music?
Well, let's say your own music.
My own music? Well, for me, I think that the big kind of missing piece was kind of happened when, ironically, my father passed away about 7 years ago. And that was the first... Such is life. It's the mortal spinning coil, or whatever whatever we are on. It's part of it.
Yeah.
And it was obviously a massive surprise, because he was fit and healthy, never smoked, never drunk, and then and he'd just moved into his retirement home of 6 months, and then he'd found out he was terminal, and he was gone 6 months later.
Yeah.
So that was quite intense. But on a grounding level, and where I was at that point. It was he normalised death. He took away a lot of the fear of the existence on this plane, because he never cried, he never got upset, he never really he accepted it and just sort of wandered his way out with a calm smile on his face.
Oh my goodness!
And there was and even when we were in the depths of his suffering, and the worst point was when he had because he hadn't slept in weeks properly. He was on medication. And so there was one afternoon I was moving him about in his bed, and he was propped up in a weird position, and he said, "That's really comfy." So I was like, "Well, stay like that then." Wedged the pillows in, and he fell asleep for a couple of hours, and I went off and did some music. And I heard him call out, and it was the only time I'd heard him call out in fear or pain, and I went rushing in there. And he was just sat there looking all upset, and because he'd had to come to terms with it all again, because he'd had his first dream in that whole scenario, and in that scenario he was happily retired in the house with my mum,
bless him.
and then he'd woken up out of that back to the realisation of a wasted body and laying in bed, and I'm stood there like, oh my days, how do you put a positive spin on this? But it happened, it came. I stood there, and he was a scientist, an inventor, and a very logical man, and a practical man. He worked with the community.
An inventor?
He invented things, helped people. He worked for BT. He was an engineer. He was always working with the disabled. So he was always giving.
Great man.
And so as soon as he was in that point, I just said, well, think about the fact that you had the dream. I said, if life was as brutal and as cold and as godless as everybody sometimes likes to make out, you wouldn't have, your body wouldn't have put you into a place where you could have even had that dream. Yeah. So in that, the fact that you got placed into a place that for the last 2 hours was your reality shows you that chances are this death thing isn't going to be the final reality. If it's that easy to switch you from one reality to another, a happy one to a sad one,
let's hope
and
that's
you didn't
what
know the
happens in
difference.
death.
Again, not trying to convert anybody or convince anybody, but on my path, on my walk, I know 100% he's with me right now. It's like I've had so many strange. They're normal now. Do you know what I mean? I grew up with weird.
It's been 7 years of this.
But I've grown. You know, even when I was at uni, I had interactions with ghosts and spirits. And growing up, I've always had interactions with things that apparently aren't happening. But then, the more you give credence to them, the more they seem to manifest. And the more they lead you in good directions, like you listen and you give faith in the right place, and it answers back tenfold.
We had a writer last week, couple of weeks, we were even talking about the ancestors, how you know, the connection with your ancestors. And as an African, I believe, I'll talk for myself, as an African, we believe your ancestors are the people who you've lived with. And because when they're gone, they're the one you'll be connecting with them.
They're still there to guide you.
To guide you, because they were there for you, and you've seen them.
100%. And there's so many, like, I've
seen or felt.
What?
Like you're thinking, you've seen your father in after passing,
I haven't
or you
seen
felt
him in sort of like a Star Wars-y blue but if there's a way, I'm sure he's trying to invent it to like figure out how to do it. But no, in terms of really practical, rational, like hands-on things, it's like so just after he passed, I'd gone to see, so on the day that he passed, it was a couple of weeks after he'd passed, and I didn't do any music over the whole of the period because I was in a bad place. I was upset. So I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks after he'd passed. I was rehearsing a song of mine because I was like, look, I've got to pull myself out of this, and I haven't played my guitar in ages. So I just started singing a song of mine, and I walked to the like the end of our patio. I was indoors, but I was just looking out the window and I was singing, and I got to the chorus, and it's a really belty chorus. So I was screaming at the ether, and a robin went chunk and just landed at my feet, the other side of the window, but landed there and just sat there while and any normal creature in a natural environment when I'm terrified would be well that way. And it landed and it hopped around for about 2 minutes while I carried on playing the song. So only a little thing, but that was one just little thing.
That's a sign, man.
And then a few weeks later, I'd met a friend of mine, and she'd gone through a particularly bad time, and she'd told me some things that were quite emotional, shall we say. So I got home, and I was sat in the garden having a cigarette, having a little cry, and I went to go put me cigarette butt in the wheelie bin, and I was crying, and the robin went and well, I don't know if it's the same one, but a robin landed about that far away from like where the water bottle is on the end of another wheelie bin as I was crying, and it pulled me out of the, I'm like, whoa, hello, and it just sat there and looked at me and then flew off, and I was like, wow. So I then walked backwards, and as I walked backwards into the house, I just didn't know who I was speaking to. I was speaking to the ether, to the robin, to everyone. I just went, I love you. And as I finished the word "you," it went and flew back to my feet and just sat there looking at me. And it just happened for weeks and months. I would look
Carl.
It would be very, very
close.
Wow. That's crazy.
No. It happens all, but like there are two ways of thinking about it. My mum obviously gets it a lot, and even when my dad was in passing, before he passed, he was laid out ill one day, and I came back because I was working for a record label at the time. I came back and just checked on him, and he was laying on the sofa like that, and there was a robin sat on the windowsill outside. So even before he passed, these robins were, for whatever reason, hanging about and doing their due.
That's crazy.
Again, it's
and a lot of people say that, don't they, about robins? It's one of those birds that I think when people pass, they say I don't know, if it is like, you know, just coincidence in any way, shape or form or what, but it just seems to be something that people realise or recognise that their presence more when someone's passed. And it might be a UK thing. It might be this country. Maybe it's it's obviously a different bird in a different country, but people do seem to have this connection to a robin when someone passes. It's like it's the bird that.
They are.
That's strange, though. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that any animal can be consigned for a spiritual message. Because I used to get followed around by magpies all the time, and like I would think back then, a long time ago, I would be thinking the old tradition. I'd see two, or I think
bad luck,
great,
good luck.
bad luck. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy, and you count and go, no, please land on a good one.
Yeah, exactly. But then you realise, you're like, well, where's all this come from? It's like, actually, have those birds ever caused me any issue? No, there's no bad luck involved with it. They're quite beautiful birds. They're intelligent, and then before you know it, when I was looking into the positives of the corvids and everything, it then made it was like, well, that's actually a beautiful animal, and it's giving me some form of interaction. So why should I tarnish that with my negative aspiration or thoughts?
What else could it be? Like, definitely.
So I think all essentially, I think everything is communicating with us all the time.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what we're talking about, creativity. If you ask most scientists, artists, musicians, writers, it's I don't really, and I'll say this cautiously in case anyone decides to steal my songs. Yeah. I will still sue you if you nick my songs and try and sell them as my own. However, I don't technically see my songs as my own because they came through me, and it's not like I ever sat there and laid an egg. It's not like a chicken that laid an egg. That was a physical process. It's taken time. It's taken life. It's opening the space to just let whatever needs to wash through you, and having the tools in front of you to make sense of that. And to
I think it takes a certain level of intelligence to write music, because some songs are very catchy and they sound simplistic in even if you look at some of the Beatles music, they seem quite simplistic in their structure and but really they're quite clever, and there's a lot like a hidden meaning within the just simplistic words that if you don't really delve into it, you don't really know. But there are some songs out there, people that write music that they literally are just very simple, and people have just written them because
Umbrella, Ella.
No disrespect to Rihanna, but it was a very catchy song and a lot of money.
It's a catchy
word. And most of the songs, they say they go
phrase,
4 chords.
Yeah.
Just 4 chords.
And that's the thing, you don't have to overcomplicate things. It's just about the message. So whatever way the message wants to come out is the way it comes out. I try not to overthink things too much these days. I try to let it flow, and like if it takes a month for the right concoction of words and melody and everything to come out, then so be it. Yeah. But then sometimes it'll happen in literally you've done it and there's a song written.
It's just there.
20 minutes. So
but it's probably been brewing for some time.
Quite possibly. In the subconscious and in the shadow of myself. Who knows? With constantly energies are evolving and concepts are evolving.
Yeah. Normally, what comes first to you? Is it the melody or the lyrics?
Yeah, because kind of style. I'm thinking in terms of style. What is your style? Like, how does this come to you? Do you feel like, okay, I've got a beat in my head. I feel like it's a country and western vibe. It's a bit of rock. It's a ballad. Or is it? Here are the lyrics.
I don't think there's a formula. Like, there's a formula you can. So if you've got absolutely no inspiration whatsoever and you're in a writer's block, then the best thing to do is just play. And I don't mean just play chords if you're bored of playing chords. I mean, get other instruments, synthesizers, samplers, whatever it is, and just make sounds, create things that the world hasn't heard before. Because that then connects in a place. It could just be like a reversed sample that you suddenly brings about this frequency that you add a reverb to it, and then you're like, wow, that's just beautiful, and then you add guitar to it. So it can come from a completely musical place. You can end up building up the structure, or you can be walking. Like, I've had complete songs and albums in my head, which is quite annoying because you lay there before you go into bed, and you're laying there and you're like,
do they have a melody or?
Everything. They got like MCs, strings, bass, drums, people, and I'm laying there going, this is a really
one-man band.
Song.
Yeah.
Like, who did this song? It's like, this song doesn't exist. I've just conjured it up. There's nothing you can do, because like the minute you get your phone out and you go, right, the bass is going boom, boom, you wake up in the morning and it's just gibberish, and the song's gone. It's gone forever. And so at the moment, I don't really know. When you get the full compositions in your head, I tend to just enjoy them and let them go.
Yeah. How sad.
It is.
Yeah.
But then it's like, well, that's a gift.
I'm sure there'll be some technology one day that can actually help us to
Elon
just...
is working on the Neuralink, but I don't think I'm signing up.
Don't go there.
No, you don't strike me as someone who would sign up for that. No.
I suspect that would be like cutting off your nose to spite your face. It'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, I can record songs easily. Oh, I've lost my soul.
Yeah.
I'm now a
crazy.
robot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
So
Sign over your soul.
Your first song, though, how did it came about to you then? Your first song.
No clue. Oh, well. My first song, I was thinking about it the other day for some reason. It's not a song. I bought a 4-track. Look, this was when I first got into music. Because music was magic.
What's a 4-track?
A 4-track's a little recording device. Like you put tape in it and it records 2 tracks one side of the tape, 2 tracks the other. So
Okay.
you can mix 4 tracks together.
Oh, cool.
At the time, you were using cassettes.
Cassettes, yes.
Cassettes, yeah.
Cassettes.
So,
Okay.
This was cassettes before mini discs, before CDs, before all of the stuff that goes.
Yeah.
Back home in South Africa, we call them cassettes.
Cassettes, yeah. Cassettes,
But in here, you call them cassettes.
Yeah, it's like a quicker.
Yeah.
Just comes out
Cassettes.
quicker.
So you put the emphasis on the car,
Yeah.
and then the sets.
Sets, yeah. Cassettes.
Cassettes.
And
yeah.
here, cassettes.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Just say it quicker.
We got less time to have
That just sounds true.
That's true, yeah. You started then to record your music on cassettes.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so that was some really old school technology, but I didn't know what music was, and I think like when I grew up, it enthralled me, but no one in my family was musical, so there wasn't like a way in. There wasn't like anyone who could let me in. Music lessons at my high school were literally location based. Wherever you sat in the room was dependent on what instrument you got, because they'd open up a cupboard like that and say go, and then everyone running in.
Everyone is
people
cool,
coming out with Yamaha
and it was very like ding,
synthesizers
ding, 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 bong, and there was no like now there were. Exactly. There was like now you wear headphones and you don't have to hear everyone else's instrument, and it can be instructional, and you can actually. I
would only ever get a triangle because I was right up the back of the class. So by the time
stuff
I got
you
in
can
there,
do with a triangle.
The triangle is really cool.
It's underestimated. Definitely.
It's underestimated if you're in part of a cohesive group, possibly adding to it. But when it's all you got and you just sat there and everyone else is writing their own music, admittedly the Yamaha 99,000 keyboards were usually like and all of these dogs.
Brilliant, love those.
But it was still far more exciting than just sitting there for an hour going ting.
Could you not
ting,
say, look, should we swap after 15 minutes?
I tried, but that was when I first encountered the politics and the egos in the music industry, because the music teacher was very much of she had an idea. She'd sort of divided the class up into serious musicians, part-time musicians, those that she didn't think cared.
Extras.
And so I was probably in the extra category, because it was I asked for better quality musicians, musical equipment, and never once got it. So music to me was like this inaccessible thing. I didn't even go into record shops. It was like I heard music on the radio I'd like to buy, but then it was like I was young, so you like feel intimidated about going and buying stuff.
HMV, do you remember HMV?
HMV, yeah. HMV's still there.
No, that's
it is. It's upstairs in the there is one in town, isn't it? Upstairs in the Sailmakers.
No, that's
yes, there is.
Wow.
There is. It's upstairs in the Sailmakers in Ipswich.
Take your word for it.
Yes.
I miss those days where you
but
go
it's
in.
not the same, yeah.
You go in and then you pick a CD and then you go and listen to it.
Or a record.
Well,
it was something tangible, and it almost felt like you'd got it. I know it sounds cheesy, but you'd almost felt like it was from the artist, and then you would have the
just unreal to me
card.
still. Like, how do they get music on that? Yeah. I just can't work. I just don't have no idea. How do they put music onto these records. How do they put music onto these tapes? It's beyond my
that was cool
intellect.
Though.
That is cool.
Do you remember the?
I think it's records. I think it's to do with
the level. Yeah,
it's but it's incredible stuff. Yeah, again, how
did you
physics and frequency marry up? And
yeah.
Did you had the
A Walkman?
The
A Walkman.
Yeah,
you had a Walkman.
I used to look cool. I used to look cool with it.
Did you?
I think I was the best man in town. And
I don't know.
I would make sure that I put my shirt inside,
so you could see
so
that you
everybody
owned a
could see
Walkman.
Check
Yeah.
the Walkman.
And they'd have like the little clips so they could actually clip onto. Yeah.
And when you open it, when you press eject,
Yeah.
and then it goes.
And you're like,
And then
turn it over. B-side.
B-side, turn over.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm the best man in town.
I tell you
People
what.
don't understand the struggle, do
No.
they? Like you want to get your favourite song, you go not quite that,
And then it all comes out. And then you get a pen to wind it up back together again. Yeah, and then there were CDs, and then CDs you'd get a CD player in your car, and every time you went over a bumper, it'd go. Can you remember? Crazy.
Once you had one scratch on the CD,
That was it.
the whole CD is gone.
The end. And then there were mini discs. They last for about 5 minutes, didn't they? Mini discs, mini CDs.
Didn't have a lot to do with mini discs.
No.
But it's interesting the evolutions of sound packaging.
So, do you remember your first song? Like, could you sing it?
No,
that's what I was waiting for.
Well, no, like because as I say, the first song I ever wrote and recorded and played to anyone on a 4-track tape was absolute gibberish and nonsense. It was like I think then I'd connected too much with my soul and not enough to my brain, and I was just like, yeah. But I'm really struggling to think my first proper composition, songs, guitar and words. It was probably a song called again, I was caught up in the the drinking and partying aspects of some of the music like back in those days. So I wrote a song called JD.
We've all been there. JD?
JD. It was
brilliant.
All about issues, because I think I had some particularly I will offer the negative context. I had some bad nights out on JD particularly. So then I ended up writing a song, and I haven't drunk JD since. So
but those were good times, though.
And JD is probably fine as a drink, but if you drink too much, it's probably not great.
Again, not disparage the company or the drink itself, but
It's
I think
the
that's
JD? What is
Jack Daniels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's whiskey, isn't it?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I will enjoy a nice glass, but these days it would be maybe one.
Now you've learned what your limit is and how to not push your body to extremes.
Yeah, well, I think, to be fair, I don't think I ever found my limit, if I'm honest, because I would never be one of them people that spun out and fell asleep. I would always still be up 3 or 4. I'd get a second wind, a third wind, a fourth wind. Yeah. And that was where it's not good, because my body had got to a point where it was just dealing with toxins. And as I say, and this is case in point again, like obviously glandular fever was the linchpin that sort of knocked me over. The incorrect use of antibiotics then cemented that, but then
antibiotics.
Yeah. And then if you're drinking as well, that lowers your immune system.
And
so then you've got no immune system whatsoever.
That's crazy, though.
Processed food and the carbs and sugars and a lot of the Western diet that we're inundated with. It's plain to see. Now that I'm sat here at 48, I can see why people have breakdowns and mental health crises from late 30s onwards, because it's just a build-up of toxins. And the body gets bigger and degrades, the mind gets weaker, and everything goes downhill.
You're saying everything that we have now, that we eat, is not the proper stuff.
It's not really nutritious on a lot of levels, really. No. A lot of supermarket, certain foods essentially have no nutritional value whatsoever. They just fill you up, and then you're on to the next thing. And maybe give you a little bit of energy, but we don't even. I've found massive improvements in my health just cutting out all carbs for a while and then just reintroducing natural carbs very slowly. Yeah. Because we unless you're using them for exercise,
you don't really need a lot of carbs. No.
So what do you eat then?
At the moment, I'm on an omnivore diet, but basically just the easy way I put it is natural things. So anything like eggs, vegetables, meat, fish, anything that hasn't been tampered with by man. And
you don't eat rice?
Not at the moment, but I'm at a specific point in my lack of I'm trying to bring about homeostasis in my little environment and bring about a bit more balance. And I'm nearly there, but I've got a few pockets that are pockets of outlying bacteria that are in the wrong place still and need to be put back into their little box, and they're still causing me minor issues. But if I go back to 10 years and I think about what I was going through then,
come a long way.
Yeah, it's Candida. It is an overgrowth of a certain fungus within the body, which is usually kept in check, and it's there's lots of little tribes in our digestive system, and when they're all in the right place and they all keep each other in balance, then you're fine, you're good. But when I took the antibiotics, it degraded all of the bacteria in my body, the good and the bad, which then negated my immune system, so I couldn't fight back. And then good things grow back quicker than bad things, so I was eating the wrong foods, which meant the bad things proliferated, got overtaken by Candida, and then you end up with leaky gut syndrome, which is where the small intestine, it's only about 2 cells thick. The wall of the small intestine is only about 2 cells thick before you get to the bloodstream. And when you've got leaky gut and you get Candida overgrow, it eats through that. So basically,
into the bloodstream.
So everything you eat toxin-wise goes straight into the bloodstream.
How do you know all this stuff?
Well, if you've been through your body and you've had to go through it, you need to work it out. Don't you?
How do you know
figure
all
it
this
and
stuff?
fix it? Because I had to do that 15 years ago. 15 years ago when it happened. 7 years back, the time when my dad was passing was when I was in the worst state. And honestly, if I listed all the symptoms, I had brain fog, depression, anxiety, shakes, clamours, cramps, like tinnitus, like everything in my body was going wrong. Everything. And there was no way out of it other than looking into other people's journeys. And so I've got a lot of friends of mine, that maybe looked at me as if I was a bit of a fool looking for information where I did. But because I think they got the wrong impression. When I said I was getting information from areas on YouTube and whatever else, I think they thought I was looking at every video.
You were looking at other people's experiences.
So if I was going to every video and saying, all right, this dude licked a goat and and just trying everything, then that would be a little bit insane.
Yeah.
But if you've gone through a
this
process,
sounds similar to me.
This is similar to me. You watch the video, and then underneath it, there's 200,000 comments, and out of those, you then go through. This really helped me. This really helped me. If you've got like a 60-40% ratio of positive things, then that gives you the green light to at least try it.
Yeah.
And every time I tried something, I would get positive results back, which would then enforce me and push me a little further for the next.
And now you
trial.
feel better than you have in a long, long time.
Better than I ever have on planet Earth in a biological.
Really?
Yeah, but in a biological
And you
vessel.
kept your body as well. You look really, really
trim.
Again, it's just like that's what happens when you listen to the body and do what.
So I'm fat.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're not fat, bro.
No, you're not fat.
They just.
You think that you're overweight.
You've got an illusion that you're overweight because of the nonsensical projections that come from everywhere else in the world.
But the things he just mentioned, the things like, he eats and, all the kind of thing, I'm looking like, I can't change my life here.
You know what it is for Cedric? He doesn't sleep enough. That's his main issue.
Yeah.
You eat quite well, don't you? But you don't sleep enough. So, and I think sleep's really massively important for your body. Yeah. Without a doubt.
Sleep deprivation makes everything.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You get that first little bit where it's like you just giggle at everything, where life goes a bit insane, and then it gets to the point where it's like, actually, I can't handle this anymore. It's like, what's going on? I'm going insane.
I hate the world. My life's so depressing.
She said, you need to sleep. You need to sleep.
It's really important.
Well, it is 100%. I went for a lot of my life being an insomniac. I mean, it's only been the last sort of 3 or 4 years really that everything's turned around on the major levels it had, because I used to always be up till 2 or 3 in the morning working on beats and music, and then get up about 10 or 11, and I was always round the other way from my circadian rhythms and my natural body clock. Whereas as soon as you say, you've got to change. You haven't got to do anything. I was in a place where if I wanted my quality of life to improve, I had to. So I did what was required. But in terms of sleep, I've always been an insomniac until I got onto a natural diet and started to cut out some of the carbs. And well, actually, some carbs before bed are really good. If you're struggling to sleep,
this guy say I'm fat.
No, he's not.
No, I'm not. Sweet potatoes.
Just give me a diet.
Sweet potatoes are
No,
better.
to help you sleep. Carbohydrates before bed is another use.
Weight.
They can be used before bed because they make you tired.
Yeah.
Because you think when you have a big meal, if you have like a load of chips or whatever, you sit there, you feel you
bloated.
You feel tired. So certain carbohydrate use does help sleep.
You're gonna play me a song for that. Tell me that.
I want to go back to. So we got all this from JD.
He owes me something.
JD's song.
He owes me something.
Do you remember JD? Do you not remember it?
No, not in the slightest. Well, I do. There's more than JD at work in my crafty, aren't I? Funny smirk. So yeah, but it was a sort of punk jungle song. So
jungle.
Yeah,
love a bit of
I
jungle.
Used to play well, I still do, but I didn't bring my loop pedal. I didn't think of that. But if I come back again, I'll bring my loop pedal.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Nah, don't come back.
Why are you offended that
Don't come back. No, don't come back. He said I'm fat.
No, he did not.
We're going to rewind this at the end of this podcast, and you can show me exactly where I called you fat. Because at the moment, I suspect that's fabrication.
Said, you're not fat.
I
Is
read
what he
between
said.
the lines. He said you need to eat these carbs and this carb and stop
Just
this
sleep.
and stop. Carl.
You know, there's a running theme with Cedric. He doesn't listen.
No, and what he should have asked me, or what I should have answered at the start of the podcast when he said, "Can I hear you?" Speaking from his perspective, I should have said, "No, no, you can't hear me."
Touche.
My telepathy was off.
No, you can't hear him. You're not listening.
Look, I'm reading everything between the lines. Now
That
you're
is not
saying
true.
to me, you on drugs, mate.
No.
Well, technically, if you're reading between the lines, what lines are you reading?
Yeah, exactly.
You're ending up
We
with
see no
drugs.
lines here, Cedric.
I think he's seeing lines of drugs if he's ended up with drugs. I don't know
I
what's
think
going
he
on.
owes us a song then.
Yes.
You
Well,
gotta
I-
make it up to me.
I brought
then.
it all the way here. It'd be a bit.
That would be amazing.
That'd be
I have-
amazing.
So you grab your guitar and then tell us a little bit about this song
I
as
will
well.
do.
That would be
You have to do
amazing.
me a little favour though, bro.
Yeah.
I left my song folder in my guitar case over
That
there.
sounds
so
fine.
is
Oh,
someone
that's cool.
able-
Yeah.
Do you want me
yeah.
to grab it, or is someone able to?
Yeah, you can grab it. Feel free,
Yeah,
mate.
do it.
Oh, feel free, mate.
Your harmonies, as I was mentioning earlier,
Yeah.
the harmonies you guys did with Darian was absolutely lovely and beautiful. So,
Really?
and I saw Darian a couple of days afterwards and spoke about his podcast, and he said what fun he'd had, and we spoke about doing some more music together. And
that's
we
brilliant.
That's
really got him to
great.
come down. We were gonna do like impromptu, just him turn up. And
That
knock
would
on
be
the door.
amazing.
would have been
That would
cool,
be
isn't
great. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'm pretty sure he's up for doing some more stuff collaboratively and collectively. And
Yeah.
I know I
You
work with
are a left hand as well.
I am indeed.
Wow. A lefty. So is this did you switch the strings around, or did you buy a left-handed guitar?
I went out there and pushed the boat out and bought a left-handed guitar.
Woo!
Yeah, I got 4 of them now.
Amazing. Oh, that sounds good.
But yeah, I
Oh,
realised I was left-handed
that.
many years ago. Once
Yeah.
again, in the music classes of being handed when I did get one strum on a guitar.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this doesn't feel right. So then I figured out, but I was in good company. You know, you got
Yeah,
Jimi
yeah.
Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, like a lot of the people that I grew up with, being very inspired by. Were
Yeah,
left-handed
definitely.
guitarists, so,
What company what company is that?
company? No, he's talking about like people that he grew up with, musicians that he
okay.
grew up. Not
I
listening
thought he
again.
said he said he was in a good company.
Oh, company as in people.
Oh, people. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, not their company. I
Wow.
was like,
Well, to be fair, if I could make a company using
Kurt
incorporating Kurt Cobain and Jimi Hendrix, I would be
Imagine
well
that.
on board with that. Absolutely. But I think, to be fair, again, like I'm pretty sure that we're all collaborating with these energies all the time. It's like I work with the
That's
community.
true, yeah.
I work with. I grew up not singing many covers because there's a lot of ego and there's a lot of politics and so I love writing my own stuff, but you sometimes, until you get traction, until you get a foundation, there's a slight lack of connection with the audience because people
Yeah.
are still learning your songs.
Exactly.
And you can have lots of fun when they know them, and they can still absolutely enjoy discovering them. But
Yeah.
when you want to really
Yeah.
just get a crowd moving
And draw them in,
and
yeah,
and have fun, That's what it's about.
It's familiarity.
It was just about anxiety and performance, and now it's like I want to have some. And so I do covers that are completely different. It's like I do Johnny Cash, Hurt, but then I play that. So it went from an industrial song by Trent Reznor originally, and then Johnny Cash covered it. And then I've covered it again and taken it upbeat again. So it's now like a stumpy country kind of.
So kind of like make it your own song.
Yeah.
You blend with yourself and you have fun with it, and like I say, I'm pretty sure there's connections all the time. I think the artists are all.
Come on, man! I can't wait.
So what are you going to play?
I'm going to play a song called Bloodlines, if it works. It's a song that I was in two minds of whether to do it, because I perform with another young lady called Victoria sometimes, who's an amazing Hungarian singer, and we do harmonies, and she's incredible.
Yeah.
And I help her hang out with her little one as well, so we do lots of musical collaborations.
Oh, wow.
When we do this song, I nearly tried to get her to come along today as well.
Yeah.
I'm in this weird, the last few weeks I've been playing with other people doing harmonies, and now I feel naked again. It's like, I'm bored.
Okay, I love a little bit of like raw, naked, just you and the guitar.
Naked.
That's wonderful.
The trouble is I bore myself. I think that's like...
But we've never heard it before.
Well, there is that.
It's new for us.
Thank you. Oh, good.
Let's go.
It's fresh. What is it called?
Bloodline.
You're not listening.
I know, because in my head I was going, Bloodstream, but that's Ed Sheeran. Bloodline.
It is indeed.
Do we need to know about it, or should we just listen?
Hey, don't mind.
Let's just listen. See if we
can
figure it out.
Exactly. It'd probably be quite obvious after sort of what we talked about and songs and whatnot, but we'll see. The bloodline flows down the river of the ages, words on pages, but nothing ever changes. The Lord's on high, keep the rats in cages. There's war it rages, but nothing ever changes. No, because life's a road, just a path, leading to a better place. I'll bear the load, share the laughs, I do what I can, what it takes. God knows they will try, to pull the wool over your eyes. So when the chosen rise, I guess I see you on the other side of the road. I can feel the glow of 1,000 angels. Love's contagious. Maybe it can change us as the curtain falls on a cast of strangers. So be courageous, maybe we can change us. So, but if all life's a road, just a path, leading to a better place. I'll bear the Lord, shall laughs, I do what I can, what it takes. 'Cause Lord knows they will try, to pull the wool over your eyes. So when the chosen rise, I guess I'll see you on the other side. Season right, sees they rise. Hope the seas they rise. Hope the seas they rise. Oh, but if all life's a road, just a path.
trying to pull the wool over your eyes when the chosen rise. I guess I see you on the other side.
Wow. What a song.
I love that.
What a beautiful song.
I love that. Yes,
Thank
we
you
go.
Oh my goodness. I love that song.
Oh,
That
man,
song is amazing.
I could hear the percussion.
Right up my
goes in.
street. Huh?
That was actually very bizarre.
It was. I heard it. I was like, whoa, okay, I'm not sure.
No, that was cool.
I could hear.
I love it when people join in and collaborate, but I haven't sung with like the weird hearing one ear through the mic and one ear like this, and I was thinking, shall I pull my ear off? Just and I was like, no,
Don't pull your ear off.
Well, that would be a bit drastic, to be fair. But then I was
beautiful.
like, hang on. I was like, am I knocking something with my elbow? And I realised it was you.
That's me.
But no,
Always me.
He's always knocking something with his
I should have
elbow.
brought you some instruments. Like you could.
A little bit of percussion.
Yeah.
I wish I knew it because I could hear the harmonies coming through with that. That was beautiful. I love your tone. I love that raspiness you've got in your voice. It's
Can you play
such a
that
good
one
quality.
more? Join him, please.
But I don't know
just
the
one
words.
verse. Just one verse. Join him, please. I could hear that kind of like vibey melody in there.
Well, the trouble is, I haven't. If I had the words written out, then I could give it to her, and she could probably harmonise to the chorus.
Right.
But the verses.
Forget the lyrics, man. Let's
Forget
do
the
it,
lyrics.
man.
That's a very important part of the song.
Forget, man. Let's do it, man.
I'll do some hums over the chorus.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Without word melody, and then if anyone wants to join in.
Oh, I'm joining in.
Oh, you know. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Man. See you on the other side. See you on the other side. I'm gonna try one more time. See you on the other side.
Oh, that's a bit better.
I see you on the other side.
I'll see you on the other side.
But that's the thing, innit? It's like harmonies. There's something so magical about harmonies, and that's why, having now worked with Victoria and back in the day working with Prophecy, I used to. Like, I'm not lazy, but I didn't have the skills in harmonies, and so I would write songs and sing my lead, and then when you work with other amazing people that know harmonies and they just lock in and join in, it's what I call my spiritual air conditioning. It's like certain songs and certain frequencies and voices, you just get goosebumps even in a heat wave.
You feel it, man.
Yeah, it's like I can't
That
help
song
falling in
is
love with you.
amazing. I love it. Love that
Well,
song.
that's very kind of you to say.
And it should be known. It should be well known.
Yeah.
Oh, well, bless you. I haven't released it, so there you go. That's
Come on, Carl.
But
Wow.
I've got.
Come
What
on,
song?
Carl, man.
I have
Your
got
voice,
albums up on Spotify,
it's just got such a good quality about it.
Yeah.
It's got such a nice rasp to
Rasp,
it.
crispy.
It's just
It
got
gets
this
better
like,
when the nerves settle as well. I haven't done a podcast.
oh my goodness,
So
I
the first
love
bit of the
it.
song, I'm like, I can't hear properly, my voice is going.
Yeah, oh, I love that. I love
but
your
the
voice.
craft, man. It's like
yeah.
eating those crepes and then goes.
Yeah, it's just got that
Call me
really.
fat. I'm joking. But, that's the whole point, isn't it? It's like there's a little bit of like without a little bit of without a bit of friction, you don't get any traction. So I love a bit of rasp on. I always grew up loving, like Kurt Cobain, Chris Cornell, Eddie Vedder, all of these people. When I was growing up, I sort of asked the universe, and again, if we're being really pedantic, the things that I've asked for in life, the universe has presented me. Because I remember saying many, many years ago when I was a teenager and I was nervous before a gig, and I would always be like, I got a bit too reliant on the gravel at times, because then I wouldn't, if I had gravel, I was then more confident, and then I probably wasn't maybe going for the notes so well. So it was about learning my voice. I had many years of sort of having the gravel, but not when I wanted it.
Because sometimes you can push that, and then it can affect your voice. Actually, if you're trying to push that rasp in your voice, actually, sometimes it can not be good for you.
More into a screech or a shout than a note with a raspy tinge. So
have you ever heard of a band called Turin Breaks? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's got a quality like that.
They've got that crisp.
Yeah, it's just the feel. The feel is like really. It's just like I want to move to it, but not too much.
Yeah.
Like I just want to hear it as well. You know, it's got that really lovely sound about it.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's for me. It's so. I think the fact that not many people know of this song right now, I think, is just that's a tragedy, and I think more people need to.
I think another thing.
How can people how can people get hold of your music? Is there a way? Can they? Are you on Spotify? Are you
on Spotify? Yeah, I've got a couple of albums on Spotify. I've got a load more that will be coming out over the next few months and over this year when I pull my finger out. But again, it's like it's not plate spinning, but it's learning to enjoy life as it's happening to me.
Yeah,
so I spent so many years.
But who do you work with, though?
Well, I work with so many beautiful people. Like I say, I work with community, I work with differently abled adults, I work with dementia patients, I work with fully abled professional musicians. I play with children. I play.
So being a musician is your full-time career. Yeah.
Well, I sort of set up over all of the COVID stuff where people had lots of time to think.
Yeah.
I basically sort of moulded myself, I'd been blessed with parents that had allowed me to be who we
that is
should
beautiful,
be. It's just having space to become who you want to be.
Yeah.
This is what we were talking about.
It seems to be like a running theme with a lot of people that come onto this show. A lot of people that have done well, or have done something that they're passionate about in their lives. It's had a lot to do with the fact that they've had good parents that have supported that.
Keep away the stress, the fear and the anxiety long enough to allow whoever it is to develop. That was what I found so important, because like it's the same as it's creativity again. It's like your child is a little creative energy.
And if you're saying, no, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, you're taking away something that could be amazing. It's like,
it's a spectrum, isn't it? It's like, I mean, as I say, I have no children, but I've spent the last 4 or 5 years working building a bond with an extremely cute little child who's now my little best mate, and he's given me lots of gifts. It's like I haven't got any children, but now I know what it's like to change nappies and to have a little 3-year-old, 4-year-old running up to you and saying, "Oh, can you help me? I need you." And it's so meaningful, and it's just
definitely
some of the things for me are very new in a way that, because I come from Africa. And African parents, they always push education.
Yeah.
And you guys, you have that opportunity to have the side of your parents support you, what you want to do.
Yeah.
So this is all new in everybody that we...
Because I think it's important in life because we don't just need, academics. And you can be academic and creative, obviously. Yeah. But we don't just need people... we don't just need all of the doctors and the lawyers and the police officers and we need creative people. At the end of the day, that's like where we go home every day and we put on that box on the wall and it entertains us, or we turn on the music, or we ask Hey Siri or whoever, Alexa, to play a song. We all go home to some form of entertainment or relief from every day, and normally it's music, or it's watching something that's fictional, or actors or performers. that's our entertainment. That's how we.
And your parents did support you on that one.
100%. And yeah, it's the biggest. Like I say, if I think about it, my dad gave me the two greatest gifts that it's possible to give. He gave me the space to become me and to find what I enjoy and who I am. And he also then eroded all of the fear that I'd had of, like, because I'd been anxious and hypochondriac and like it's just like you get to a point where it's like, what am I doing? If you're fighting your body, you're fighting existence. Like, it's not supposed to be that way. It's like a quote, I forget who it is. Alan Watts, I think, but he's talking about when a cat falls out of a tree, about how it goes fluid and floppy and loose, and then lands on its feet. Yeah. If you fall out of a tree and you're rigid, and that's what existence is. As soon as we're born, we're pushed out of the tree, and we're free falling, and nobody can help you. There's nobody coming to rescue you because you don't know what's going on.
Just figuring it out.
I don't know what's going on. But so essentially, we're all falling off the tree, and whereas most people are going falling. And like, it's just I've learned to become
very
floppy.
True.
I've learned to become fluid.
Become floppy. Yeah. Well, I like that analogy. That works.
Second track for us, please.
Yeah, we can do another one.
So this bloodline. I see you on the other side. Is this linked to your dad? Then is that about your dad and maybe like connecting with him again one day, or is it linked to your illness, or
it's to do with like I think it's to do with like an awakening of the community of humanity on a number of levels, and so it's talking about the other side of this. I wrote this about probably about 10 years ago, but it's a song that unless we change the governances and the way this planet is run, is going to be just as valid in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, because it's just about the cycle. It's about the bloodline cycle and about ancestors, as you were talking about, and how a lot of our energies now are polluted and toxified by the experiences that our ancestors went through, because everything we're all still connected. There's no two ways about it. And you can have spiritual trauma, you can have mental trauma, physical trauma, you can have indigestion. So, there's all of these things that can affect the biological vessel. But that's, I think that for me is the key. I've found space.
You tend that one right, man. I like that.
Well, it's the body, but this is, again, it's just finding space. And I've found space to become me, space between my emotions.
Sorry, I got the
very
She can't stop laughing.
funny.
But my problem is, this is the very, I've heard you work with dementia people. That could be hard.
There's a lot of things out there that
could be hard.
I don't know what it is, but I was drawn a long time. Like, as a child, I was obsessed with death. And so I was always, even when I was like 4 or 5, I was thinking about the end, because I was like, I knew there was a finite point. It's like, this is amazing, and I love my dad, and I love my mum, and I love Transformers and everything, but death.
Really?
And so this was weighing heavily on my soul.
Because most children don't think about that at all.
Well, I don't. Again, I think to a certain extent, a lot of them do, but I think a lot of people
don't say it.
Like, because like, there's a lot of times when my little mate will be like talking about, it's dead, or
yeah.
Or we're going to kill it, and it's like, so it's a big concept in their brain. But a lot of most of society doesn't want to talk about the dark aspects of existence, which is why they're it goes into denial, essentially. If all you're going through life is everything's positive. Now it is technically, this is the paradox, because if you look at it and you set the context, then negative things do become positive. However, if you're just going through life going, I'm happy, that's delusion, that's denial.
It is.
Because happiness is an emotion, and you can't cling on to any emotion 24/7.
Yeah, you can't. No, it's impossible.
Love is the foundation of everything, because I wake up in the morning and I haven't lost any compassion for you. Or
I love you, Carl.
Yeah.
Exactly, I love you. But it's right, you took the window. Well, what is that one out there, right? There you go, that doesn't happen very often. It's a beautiful thing, and a lot of people don't say it. I was at a little kids' party yesterday, and my little mate, I won't say his name just for internet privacy, this, that, and the other, I haven't asked his permission, but his friend had come down from Scotland, and they hadn't seen each other for a while, and they were playing, and he said, "Oh, you gave me that because you like me, don't you?" And he's like, "No, I love you."
Oh.
And his 2 5-year-olds were just sat there like,
Oh, it's
cool.
lovely.
Ah, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
isn't
it is beautiful.
Come on now.
Oh, you want another song?
That's how it goes. Yeah, this is quite a simple. I only heard this, which is a bit ridiculous. I only heard this.
I can't wait. Please, El, join along as well.
What? Sorry, I don't know what we're doing. You're just joining.
I don't know.
Join in with this song that you've.
It's quite like. Ignore that. We've done.
Oh,
that.
okay. This is a cover.
Yeah, and it's
okay.
Quite a straightforward vocal melody all the way through. So once I get to about here, you'll probably pick up on
Kenny Rogers. He has a really deep voice. Yeah.
Yeah. You like them deep.
Is he I feel like that's an innuendo. I'm not going to answer that question, Cedric. I am not going to answer that question. Oh my goodness.
To be fair, it's debauchery, really, because I'm about to sing The Gambler. So
oh my goodness.
Innuendos and gambling. I am going to sing this one without the headphones on, though, if that's all right. Not because of your
lack of pitch.
No, it froze me out. Headphones are a bit weird.
You're fat and pitchy.
Oh.
No.
Wow.
You're not coming back. You can't read this guy. You need to stop these carbs and this stuff.
You might need a new co-host. I don't think you just heard what she said.
You don't need me anymore.
We love you.
I love you too.
Okay.
You know I do.
We love you, Carl.
Carl, we love you.
Thank you. I love you too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And just so that you don't get. I'm doing a cover now, so again, like I say, it's a fun song and people know. But songwriting can be about anything. This one's about me, like salutations to all the constellations that led me to this moment with you.
Yeah.
So that's talking about my ancestors and everything else. This one's about Bigfoot. I've written a song.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So,
Let's just have a little set.
Yeah.
Let's have a little set. We'll do this and we'll do a couple more. That'd be lovely.
well, there we go. One a warm summer's evening on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with a gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, so we took turns of staring out the window at the darkness. The boredom overtook us and he began to speak. He said, "Son, I made a life out of read on people's faces, knowing what the cards were by the way they held their eyes. And if you don't mind me saying, I can see you're out of essence. For a taste of your whiskey, I give you some advice." So I handed him a bottle, drank down my last swallow, bombed a cigarette, and he asked me for a light. And the night got deadly quiet. Face lost all expression. You're gonna play the game, boy. You gotta learn to play it right. You got nowhere to hold 'em, nowhere to float 'em, nowhere to walk away, and nowhere to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. You'll be turning off the counting once the dealing's done.
Woo!
Every gambler knows the secret to surviving, knowing what to throw away and knowing what to keep, because every hand's a winner, every hand's a loser. The best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep. And when he finished speaking, turned back towards the window, crushed his cigarette, and he faded off to sleep. And somewhere in the darkness, the gambler, he broke even. And in his final words, I found an inch that I could keep. You got nowhere to hold 'em,
I know that part.
Nowhere to hold 'em, nowhere to walk away, and nowhere to run.
never count your money when see
That's the first time I've heard that song through.
Really?
Yeah. And you do it much more upbeat than the original.
I tend to,
You bring like a bit more life, I guess. It's quite, I think it's quite dark in some ways, that song, when it's sung originally, but I quite like it.
Yeah.
But you've added like a different swing to it. You've made it upbeat.
Songs, but I like to have fun with things.
Yeah,
Sometimes when you play things, like if people want to hear the original, they can go on to Spotify, they got the CD, or they can go and play it, and it's exactly as they wish. But for myself, if I'm putting it out there, like it's like Hurt, like I say, the Johnny Cash song, beautiful song. But if I sit there playing it like that for the whole
song, it's background, becomes background music.
It's a beautiful song, but people out on a Saturday night, they maybe want to be reminded of that song, but they don't necessarily want to be in the full emotion of that song. So I'll be playing it like.
Whoa.
I like that. It makes it a bit bluesy.
That's hot. That is.
What have I become?
And if I go to the chorus,
What have I become? My sweetest friend. Well, everyone I know goes away in the end. And you can have it all. My empire nerd. I will let you down. I will make you hurt. I'll make you hurt. I'll make you hurt. I'll make you hurt. Yeah, yeah.
Wow, I love that.
Hey.
it's quite lucky I pulled it back there.
Beautiful,
'Cause I went into the chorus,
beautiful.
I don't even know what I'm doing. I've done it for a while. I'm on the wrong chord. I'm thinking the wrong note.
That is amazing.
I had no idea. I had no
Wow.
idea. That was
There you go.
beautiful.
There were you.
Musicians were very deceptive. Right. We look like we're calm on stage, but underneath.
Yeah, well,
That's
we
beautiful.
met a bass player not so long ago who was telling us about, sometimes it's about conviction. It's like trying to kind of make out that nothing's gone wrong, and and I think that's right. If you've got the confidence and you can persuade actually the audience that what you're doing, this is what it's supposed to sound like.
Yeah, it's about, well, first off, if they're your version, so there's no right or wrong.
Exactly.
Have fun with it. But secondly, it's just about it's about preventing the pollution of energy, because there's nothing. Everything's cyclical. So if you're having fun, the crowd, and that usually bounces off the crowd. And then it all starts
comes back to you.
Exactly.
Relating.
Same with anxiety and nervousness.
Yeah.
If you're a performer who's, I've been there. I've watched gigs, and I've been there and been in the shoes of the anxious person. And you can feel, and like you're nervous on stage, they can tell you're nervous. Everything
It all becomes
up,
very awkward.
and then your voice tenses up, your body tenses up. You maybe hit a wrong note, and then you're freaking out internally, and
you can't stop thinking about it. Yeah.
And it's just about breathe, have fun. And so I love any time I'm two in my head, like humanity. I believe, a lot of humanity thinks that the pinnacle of human evolution is the brain, but it's part of it, but it's the unison of heart, spirit, and the logical elements of it as well. So if I'm ever I'm anxious at a gig, it's because I'm too in my head. And I'm too thinking.
And you worry, I think we worry that the audience aren't going to be forgiving at all, and actually a lot of the time people are very forgiving, and they just realise that they're quite human and it's okay.
I love gigs with, if ever I'm in the anxiety brain mode, then the best thing possible is old people or children or dogs. If you've got them in the audience, focus on them, and or if they're giving you any interaction, focus on that interaction, and it pulls you into the now.
There's one thing that worries me, Carl. There's one thing that worries me when it comes to musicians. Musicians don't want to work together.
Depends, but it depends what stage they're at. As you can see, I'm here on my own.
You like collaborating,
I
though.
love working with other people. It brings about things that you would never normally come across you will come across different ideas and melodies and harmonies and presentation ideas, instrumental ideas for a composition than I would ever conjure up. So you put them all together and it's fun. And like I say, when you're doing harmonies, it's the most powerful thing in the world, I think, musically, because I can be out busking and, having a successful day, and maybe I had a kid dancing, you got a few quid in the thing, and you're having fun. But then the second I start doing male-female harmonies with Victoria or any other people I sing with, like Prophecy doing male harmonies, people, especially little people, they seem to have an involuntary response and just run at you with money.
Changes
and they've just
the
got
whole
notes
feel.
out and they're running at you.
Really?
It's like
wow.
I don't know if it's a wartime thing, but you don't hear many vocal melodies in popular music anymore.
No.
And popular music's been dumbed down, again, not having a go at any of the artists.
The
business industry itself is essentially now writing pop music is nursery rhymes for adults.
Really? You think that?
If you're repeating Umbrella, Ella, 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 Ella for 4 bars over the chorus, that's not really soul-searching song. And that's what I'm about. So the more my songs and my spiritual inward journey progresses, the less I'm concerned about whether or not I sell millions of records. I was so concerned.
To be fair, that would be a bonus, though, wouldn't it?
I think we can do a song.
So glad that
we can start 50.
No,
it means fat.
Well, we don't want to sing that.
No.
He can strum it, and then we can compete with the pop songs, and the musician. Fat. Don't come up good, man. I tell you what. No.
Maybe not today.
Not today. Well,
can we have one more original?
Yeah. This one's quite
if you can do a contrasting ballad, you could do upbeat, up to you. But I'd love to hear you one more time.
It's nice to play some of my songs, because I just enjoy playing songs with people at the moment, and so it's not often I'm not seeking gigs, if you get what I mean. It's not like I'm out there again, it's the paradox of life though. When I was looking for gigs and looking for success, and all I was worried about is releasing my stuff onto iTunes so that I could prove to my dad success and all of this nonsense.
But actually,
like when I started playing guitar in a dementia home, and there was a little lady there who was locked in her own body, locked in a wheelchair, and she hadn't moved. She communicated through very minimal sounds. And she'd communicated that she wanted to be in eye contact with me when I was singing these songs. And I was singing a song.
That's
and
beautiful.
Big toe was moving, and all of the carers were just like, "That is the first bodily movement we've seen other than involuntary stuff."
Wow.
And again, I'm getting the goosebumps now, and it was like, this is what my music's
it's
about.
like
do you know what I mean?
therapy.
It's
like a therapy for everyone.
That's why I set up Musical Notes Creative Therapy over lockdown. So now I do that with all sorts of. So if anybody is out there and they've got anyone who's suffering or going through any form of bereavement or suffering, or they want to do creative things with their children, different abilities, then Musical Notes Creative Therapy is on Facebook, so give me a little holler.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
We'll do some we'll do some work together.
I think we'll attach everything that so everybody can
we'll attach that to the podcast, definitely. That sounds amazing. So tell us about this other cover.
This is
not cover.
That's original.
Original. Well, who knows? It might be a cover from hundreds of years ago. I don't realise that someone else has written it.
No, it's not a cover, but it could be your ancestors.
You never know. It's called Home. Loads of people have written songs called Home, and it's quite straightforward. It's just about being away and harking back to people, places, whatever it is. Like, it doesn't have to be a brick home. It's just where you consider home. And now, I'm blessed to say that I feel at home in here for the first time ever. I feel at home in my own body and my own existence.
That's great.
A lot of songs, you end up writing them like you were talking about. When you write songs when you're younger, they turn really prophetic. I've had a lot of, some of them turn pathetic, but like some of my songs, I read them back a few years, or I'm singing them, and I'm like, hang on, this means something to me right now. It's like I've gone through something in the last couple of days that I wrote about 7 years ago. Weird stuff. It's like juxtaposition of energies.
And how life kind of moves on, but you still kind of sometimes you go through the same things again, just a different point.
Well, the universe, it will keep thrusting things in your face until you learn the lesson that it's trying to project at you. It will just keep doing it until you open up to it. So the loss of my dad and like the illness and everything else was leading me to where I needed to be. And that's here with you guys right now, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
So home, there's a video of this. I've got a video of this on YouTube actually, so I'll give you the link to it.
Brilliant.
You can watch me.
Sounds great.
Pretending to be a homeless vagrant walking around with. I did it on a treadmill. So we had to time the treadmill, because it's like it's quite a slow pace. So we had to. So I'm walking along playing my guitar, and we've got a green screen behind me, and I'm on the treadmill, and I have to it's really hard to walk on a treadmill, play guitar, and mime and sing at the same time.
You're multitasking.
And then I'll do moonwalks off the back. And
brilliant.
So
now when we watch that, we can just imagine what you went through.
You can. Yeah. I'll give you the link, and you
Bring
can
it on.
spread it on.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Bring it on, mate.
But we'll have a little go at it. And this has got like the chorus is. Again, it's only 3 chords all the way through, so it's quite a similar melody all the way through. So if you pick up some harmony ideas, feel free to jump in.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Take your smiles and travel miles, and I will give them a home, so they're not alone. I look above's the only love, and now they give me a show. But I've had enough for putting one foot in front of the other, simply following you, my brother. I'm a turn-tail, sad self, and face the unknown. Cause me smile, I gotta say I'm on my way, I'm like a dog with a bone. Cause me smile, my razor glass for the past and the journey unknown.
That, or did we ruin it? I don't know.
Much apologies.
That's what it's all about. I'm glad you dived in, because I was thinking, if out of all of my songs that I play, that one is usually the easiest for people to jump on. And whatnot, because I'm just holding notes and you can find your place.
Oh, I'd love to. I need to know it better. So we'll listen to it more.
No, but you gotta come back. Don't come back and call me fat.
Well, you ain't got to worry about that, because I'm not going to go away and then suddenly become rude and offensive and come back and insult
Exactly.
Yeah,
he did not call you fat.
Watch the rewind. Who asked for the rewind?
At least you can come back and then we can sing more songs.
Yes.
You know, I would really,
I'd love to.
I'll come back.
You send us some.
I'll send you some songs prior to us.
That would be amazing.
And I'll bring Prof and Victoria. I'll bring a Hungarian singer and Prof.
That sounds wonderful.
And then we can all do some 5-part harmony.
That sounds unbelievable.
And Edma can play as well.
Yeah.
He can play a guitar,
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
he's not fat.
That sounds great.
He's not fat.
He's not fat.
There's no one fat in this building.
I love it.
There are other parts to this building, so you never know. But no, hopefully, I think offensive words, not kind words. I don't think that's something Carl would
he was
do.
too kind.
He's a lover, not a fighter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I managed to make
what kind of lover is that?
Life, and I've never punched anyone in the face.
Brilliant,
so
good for you. Yeah, that's what it's all about. But
Not
you're
that I'll put that on
articulate
my
with your
CV.
words.
You
You're articulate with your words. You use your words. I think that's.
You're AI, isn't it?
AI.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. Because obviously I'll say
living
no,
in a-
but then AI would say no as well.
Exactly.
So I don't think I can convince you, other than the fact that I can't download songs straight out of my head, which I told you earlier. So I think AI would be able to do that.
Yeah.
I've got a mini disc slot at the back.
You're mad crazy, Carl. I didn't know that you were mad crazy. Seriously, man.
But thank you so much. Thank you for
sir.
everything. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you, and it's been even more of a pleasure listening to your amazing music, which I really love. Really love. And I don't say that half-heartedly, because I'm honest. If I dislike something, I'll say it's not for me, but it's a great piece of music. But for me, this is right up my street, and I think it needs to be heard.
I think it would make good content, though, if you'd have just decided halfay through the pod, this isn't for me.
This is absolutely shocking. Can you stop? Stop now.
You can't say that.
What is this?
Yeah, man, Carl. Thank you very much, bro.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And let's say if a young brother like me and a young sister like Elle, needs some advice, what advice can you give?
You go. I think life.
Well, I won't give anybody advice, because I can't do that from my position. I can only tell you what I've done, and I would say that the biggest calming influence in my life is to just breathe, just to not be so reactionary, because I lived my life with my heart on my sleeve. That's what people say, and there's nothing wrong with showing emotions when the time is correct. However, like everything, it's a spectrum, and I was going through life like reactionary, and so I became every emotion without any understanding and appraisal before I became it. So now I hold emotions, I hold space, and the same with when it comes to all of life. Just breathe a bit before you respond, and just see what is actually going on, externally and internally, and more importantly internally for me, because I was always anxious. And if I can't,
so just take a moment.
Just like let things. Don't be too rigid.
You're crazy.
Take a moment.
You're crazy.
That's great advice. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. Really, really appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Appreciate your time. Appreciate your talent. It's been an absolute pleasure. We love you, Carl Best. Thank you.
Really,
thank you very much.
I love what you're doing here as well. It's like amazing setup, amazing energy in the room.
Thank you.
Feels very natural and comfortable. So.
Good. I'm glad you feel that way. That's what we want.
Because I would have sat here and been bum notes and I'd have been rigid. So.
Carl, if people want to have a look at your song on YouTube or get hold of your music, could you just give us some information about what we should search?
On YouTube, it's a bit random. It's Beeba, yes. That was the only one available when I did it. Yes. So it's BEEBAYES will take you to my YouTube channel with various music videos. And on Spotify, I'm just under Beeba, BEEBA. And yeah, I think Facebook and all of the other places. If you type in the Beeba thing, then and Bandcamp, I'm on. You can get free downloads on Bandcamp.
And if anyone wants to book you, should get in contact on your Facebook or
any ways accessible on Facebook, Carl Best or Beeba or.
I'll be your manager. I'll be your manager. All the booking money comes to me.
Okay. Well, I'll live my life as an impoverished musician. So it won't be much different. You can take a cut of my Spotify streams. That'll be about 5p a year.
Oh, no.
I'll take all
Not
the
for
royalties
long, hopefully.
and
Not
skip
for long.
the country.
Not on 5p, Cedric.
Ladies and
thank
gentlemen,
you very much.
Welcome. Not welcome.
Welcome to the
end. Yeah, welcome to the end.
Hooray! Carl Best, thank you so much. Thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching. Me